Hey everyone, my name is Nick Pearsall and welcome to ErgoBytes, a show dedicated entirely to human factors, ergonomics, and all things human performance and safety. Now, anyone who knows me knows I can talk about human factors for hours, probably longer than you'd like to listen. But don't worry, these episodes are bite-sized, just 15 minutes long, enough to learn something useful, short enough to keep you from falling asleep. But ErgoBytes just isn't another podcast or AI-generated LinkedIn post full of buzzwords and M-dashes. Seriously, please, enough of those. ErgoBytes is about real, practical knowledge and genuine human connections. It's about answering the actual questions I had when I first started out. For example, haven't used an NASA TLX before? Boom, episode X has you covered. Unsure what cognitive architecture even means? Don't worry, episode Y breaks it down with expert Z. You get the idea. But let's back up just for a second. Who am I? More importantly, who am I to be talking about all this? I'm Nick Pearsall. I've worked in architectural design, defence aviation with the RAAF, rail, infrastructure for defence primes, you name it. I've also done ad hoc HF roles for government research, emergency services. I've been involved in projects as simple as car park builds, all the way up to missile defence systems. I've been hands-on, hands-off, teaching, instructing, designing, and yes, even working as a visual effects artist in production studios. Everything I've done, every weird detour, contributes to how I approach human factors today, and even helps shape this very show, ErgoBytes. But even with all that experience, when I first started human factors, I felt completely overwhelmed. It's a field that's notoriously non-linear. You don't just start at HF 101 and neatly progress. It's messy, complicated, and there's no single textbook to save you when you're drowning in a sea of methodologies, jargon, and academic papers. Honestly, it was like trying to learn how to swim by reading a textbook, except the textbook was 400 pages long and you were already drowning.
Whoa! I'm not reading that crap. Summarize it in one word.
And maybe you've experienced this too. Am I focusing on the right things? Am I missing something critical? Am I really making a difference or just ticking boxes? That was me, because in human factors, you get thrown into a mess of disciplines. Biomechanics, psychology, cognitive science, organizational safety, risk management. Oh, and while you're at it, can you quickly learn some industry-specific regulations too? Thanks. If you're in HF, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're often the only human factors person in the room, trying to convince people that it's not always some simple case of human error. It's the system, the design, the environment. But sometimes it feels like no one's listening. No one prepares you for that. But here's the thing, that's exactly why we love what we do and wouldn't change it for the world. Despite all the challenges, human factors is incredibly rewarding, constantly engaging and full of opportunities to make real difference. And because we love it so much, we often want to fix everything at once. But here's a lesson I wish someone had shared with me early on. Perfection isn't the goal here. Impact is. You have to triage, pick your battles, choose the stuff that makes the biggest difference within the realities and constraints of your project. Knowing me, the stubborn perfectionist that I am, I probably wouldn't have listened anyway. Still, that's exactly why this show exists. I want to create the resource I needed when I was starting out, because human factors isn't about memorizing standards. It's about knowing where to look, who to ask, and which questions matter. That's why community matters. Face-to-face conversations, shared experiences, real-world knowledge, not just theory. Our HF communities are small within our own cities, countries, and even globally. The HF pool is small, but that's exactly why ErgoBytes matters. We're building connections, breaking down barriers, and making this global community stronger and more accessible. So if you're new or seasoned, just curious about human factors, or you're here because, like my wife, you still can't quite figure out if human factors is actually a real job or some kind of elaborate cover story for something else.
Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
Stick around. I'll share everything I know and everything I don't know yet, alongside an incredible lineup of expert guests. Together, we'll unpack the stuff that matters, from performance and safety to the psychology behind it all. And hey, if that sounds good, hit subscribe, follow along and comment below. Your feedback is literally the difference between me talking to a camera in an empty room and us building something truly valuable together. Thanks for watching ErgoBytes. Until next time, keep the focus human.